Welcome. You may already be familiar with Mel Gibson's film, The Passion of the Christ, but there's so much more to the story than what you see on screen. The making of this intense movie was filled with strange events and unexpected challenges that many people on set still talk about to this day. While the film's dark atmosphere and brutal depictions of Jesus' last hours seem chillingly real, what happened behind the scenes might be even more surprising. Some believe the production was cursed, with the cast and crew facing unexplainable accidents and eerie coincidences. Let's dive into these chilling moments and discover what happened during the filming of this powerful movie. Mel Gibson was determined to create a film that captured the suffering and sacrifice of Jesus with unprecedented authenticity. He wanted viewers to feel as though they were transported back to first-century Jerusalem. To achieve this, he filmed in Hebrew, Latin, and Aramaic, and designed sets so realistic they made you feel like you were right there in the heart of the ancient city. Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus, was the one who carried the weight of this vision. In one particularly painful scene, he had to carry a real heavy cross, and as he collapsed from exhaustion, his shoulder gave out. The pain he was feeling wasn't acting, it was real, and his cry of agony was captured on film as a moment of raw, authentic suffering. But it didn't end there. During another intense scene, Caviezel was accidentally struck by a whip, leaving lasting scars as a reminder of the brutal reality behind the film. One of the most bizarre incidents occurred when Caviezel was struck by lightning while on set. Many of those who witnessed it believed it was a sign from God. But strange occurrences didn't stop with Caviezel. The technical crew also experienced unsettling moments. Some crew members described feeling a strange presence on set, while others recalled moments when cameras or equipment failed for no apparent reason, as if invisible forces were interfering with the filming. Instead of feeling afraid, the cast and crew found these strange occurrences to be a source of strength. They began to believe they were part of something much greater than just making a movie. Despite the controversy surrounding the film, especially its graphic violence and accusations of anti-Semitism, Gibson refused to back down. He was determined to tell the story of Jesus' final hours as accurately as possible, no matter the cost. When major studios turned down the project thinking it was too risky, Gibson decided to fund it himself, pouring $30 million of his own money into the production. Jim Caviezel, fully aware of the potential risks to his career, was still resolute. Gibson warned him about the backlash, but Caviezel's response was firm. "I think we have to do it, even if it costs us everything." With that, Caviezel fully committed to the role, knowing the sacrifices involved. From the start, The Passion of the Christ was more than just a movie. It was an experience of deep faith, sacrifice, and devotion. Every day on set was a struggle, both physically and spiritually, but the cast and crew powered through, driven by a sense of purpose that went beyond the film itself. Each scene felt significant, and as filming progressed, it became clear that some of the strange events were more than mere coincidences. The making of the film was a powerful journey that many of those involved believed was part of something much larger than themselves. Everyone has moments in life when they question their strength and faith. During these times, we often look for something larger than ourselves to give our lives meaning and direction. This search for purpose is exactly what happened during the making of The Passion of the Christ. It was as though the cast and crew were being led by an unseen force, guiding them to a place where each scene felt not just like a part of a movie, but like a sacred calling. Imagine a day when everything changed. As the team made their way into the jungle, the serene weather of the morning abruptly gave way to a sudden storm. Just a short distance from the workers, lightning struck the ground, creating a moment of shock and fear. Yet, for many, this wasn't seen as a bad omen. Rather, it was interpreted as a spiritual sign, a reminder of the larger mission they were all part of, a mission that went beyond the film they were creating. Some of the actors began to feel an inexplicable connection to their roles, as though they weren't merely acting but living something divine. Claudia Gerini, who played Pilate's wife, shared how she had unsettling dreams about the life of Jesus, dreams that weren't in the script. In these dreams, she witnessed moments of profound trust and sacrifice, which caused her to reflect deeply on her own beliefs. After working on the film, Gerini acknowledged that her perspective on spirituality had been permanently altered in ways she hadn't expected when she first joined the production. The physical toll on the cast was undeniable. Hristo Shalpov, who portrayed Pontius Pilate, once slammed his hand down on a table in a dramatic scene, injuring his wrist in the process. Despite the pain, he pushed through, believing that the message they were conveying was more important than his personal discomfort. This sense of dedication was shared by everyone involved in the production, from the main actors to the technicians. They weren't just working on a film, they were part of something far more profound, a spiritual journey that extended beyond the act of filmmaking. As the cast and crew faced one challenge after another, their bond grew stronger. Mel Gibson, the director, was keenly aware of the difficulties, but he also recognized the deep commitment that each person brought to the project. For many, overcoming these obstacles was a sign that they were part of something much bigger than themselves. Every setback seemed to strengthen their resolve, and they came to believe that they weren't just making a movie. They were contributing to something sacred, something with meaning far beyond the screen. On one particular day, just before filming a crucial scene, the crew was faced with an unexpected problem. The lighting equipment refused to work. Despite multiple attempts to fix the issue, nothing seemed to help. In a moment of desperation, some of the crew members spontaneously began praying. After a few moments, the lights flickered back on. Some crew members couldn't help but feel that something beyond their control had intervened. It wasn't the only strange occurrence during filming. Maya Morgenstern, who played Mary, reached a breaking point during a powerful scene where she had to carry Jesus' body. The emotional weight of the moment left her physically and mentally drained, yet it also brought her closer to the character she was portraying, highlighting the intense dedication she put into her work. Despite Mel Gibson's famous perfectionism, which sometimes led to tension on set, his actions often revealed his deep care for everyone involved. There was one moment when several extras, suffering in the bitter cold, were struggling to stay warm. Gibson immediately stopped the filming and ordered blankets and hot tea to be brought to the crew. For many, this wasn't just about delaying the production. It was a clear demonstration of Gibson's genuine concern for the well-being of the people he was working with. Strange and unsettling events continued to happen during production. During a crowd scene, some extras claimed to have seen a mysterious figure in colorful clothes, someone who didn't appear to be part of the cast or crew. Despite several attempts to identify him, the figure remained a mystery. This eerie incident, along with others that occurred throughout the filming, only added to the growing sense that there was something extraordinary and even sacred about the process of making the film. When The Passion of the Christ was finally released in theaters, its impact was felt far beyond the typical reactions to a movie. The film sparked intense debate across both religious and secular communities. The graphic portrayal of Jesus' suffering stirred controversy, especially among church leaders. Some were concerned that certain scenes could be misinterpreted, particularly by more conservative Christian groups. On the other hand, there were those who believed the film captured the raw, unfiltered truth of Christ's sacrifice in a way that nothing else had before. Whether people praised or criticized the film, It certainly provoked a discussion that changed the way religion, cinema, and representation were viewed in the cultural conversation. For Jim Caviezel, the actor who portrayed Jesus, the reactions to the film didn't change his outlook. Though his performance was widely praised, he was less concerned with the accolades than with the deeper significance of his role. In interviews after the film's release, Caviezel spoke about how he had accepted the fact that his portrayal of Jesus would define his career far more than any awards or recognition. What mattered most to him was the opportunity to be part of something that was much bigger than any personal accomplishment. The film's release was met with controversy and scrutiny in many countries, as authorities decided to cut several scenes deemed too graphic and disturbing for audiences. Despite these edits, the movie found ways to reach viewers all over the world. Many people in places like the Middle East and Asia, where conversations about religion and spirituality were rarely open, managed to find alternative methods to watch the film. This sparked important discussions on topics that were often considered taboo or uncomfortable in these regions. Amid all the criticism, Mel Gibson remained determined to bring his vision to life. During a press conference in Rome, he explained, "I wanted to tell the story of Jesus in a powerfully raw way, so that everyone could feel the weight of sacrifice." While not all critics were enthusiastic about Gibson's approach to the Passion of the Christ, the film resonated with a large audience, many of whom were not typically drawn to religious films. It became a conversation piece and reached viewers from various walks of life. In terms of box office success, the film had an enormous impact. The project, which Gibson financed entirely on his own with a $30 million budget, became a major financial success, grossing nearly $600 million worldwide. This unexpected financial triumph not only set a new record for religious films, but also provided the funds for Gibson and his team to embark on other faith-based projects, including charity initiatives. The journey of the film, both during production and after its release, proved to be as influential and significant as the content itself, leaving a profound mark on both the cultural and cinematic landscape. From the outset, Gibson was committed to ensuring the film was historically and culturally accurate. His goal was to create a narrative that was as faithful as possible to the traditions of the first century. To achieve this, the production team, with the help of historical experts and theological advisors, scoured manuscripts, mosaics, and ancient texts. One of the standout features of the film was its use of ancient languages like Hebrew, Latin, and Aramaic. The actors dedicated weeks of preparation, working with linguists to ensure they could speak these languages authentically. Gibson believed that using the original languages would create a deeper connection to the historical events depicted, even though it made the filming process more challenging. The team also paid meticulous attention to recreating the film's setting. In Matera, Italy, a stunningly realistic replica of ancient Jerusalem was constructed in the cobblestone streets. Many of the cast members later shared how it felt as though they had been transported back in time, with the sets adding a layer of authenticity to the entire experience. Over the course of production, several changes were made to the script as well. Initially, Gibson had considered including apocryphal texts, but religious advisors urged him to stick to the canonical Gospels to avoid any confusion or misinterpretation. There were internal debates within the crew as they worked to balance the goal of biblical accuracy with the demands of filmmaking. Some of the creative decisions in the movie set it apart from traditional religious films. One example was the portrayal of Satan, who was deliberately depicted as a gender-neutral, almost androgynous character. The casting of Rosalinda Celentano in this role was a bold choice, and the actress spoke about how she mentally prepared to convey the character's dual nature, seductive yet unsettling. Every aspect of the film, from the staging to the performances, was carefully crafted to serve Gibson's distinctive artistic vision. Once the film was released, its legacy grew stronger over time. The impact of The Passion of the Christ continued to resonate long after its premiere, sparking new projects related to the film, including plans for restoration and re-release. This included interviews with the actors about their transformative experiences and the inclusion of deleted scenes that offered additional insight into the production process. Perhaps the most lasting effect of the film was its contribution to the resurgence of religious cinema. Gibson's ability to infuse the film with deep emotional resonance and authenticity encouraged filmmakers worldwide to approach biblical and spiritual stories with a renewed sense of seriousness. This shift also led spiritual organizations to embrace the use of films as a tool for teaching and reflection, screening them at conferences and seminars to encourage introspection and spiritual growth. Alongside the film's cultural and cinematic influence, Gibson and other members of the crew launched humanitarian efforts in response to the success of the movie. A portion of the film's earnings was directed toward building schools and clinics in impoverished areas, particularly in countries struggling with chronic poverty. These charitable initiatives aligned with the movie's central themes of compassion, sacrifice, and selflessness, turning its lessons into meaningful action in the real world. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the making of The Passion of the Christ. It's incredible to reflect on how deep faith, sacrifice, and dedication shaped not only the film, but the lives of everyone involved. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What part of this story stood out to you the most? Your feedback means the world. Thanks again for watching, and see you in the next video.